get a couple things situated here. You know the deal. All right. Rock and roll. Sunday, February 2nd, 2019. Weekly candle close. The excitement is real. Let's get this thing slid over just for a minute. We could see on the weekly we got buying coming in. Got a little action going on here. This is the 4-hour chart, BTC. You can see this level of resistance that we got over here. See that coming down from these lows during the support area. Has been resistance for quite some time. January 11th. We were able to get into that zone. Weren't able to close to it. Now with the buying coming in the last few minutes of today's daily. Very exciting stuff. So we'll see if that ends up turning into anything. It's gonna be, let's see. Yeah. What do we got here? We got 7 minutes. 7 minutes. All right, very cool. Good stuff. So if you're with me, awesome. If you're watching this not today and another day, hopefully you'll get something out of it. But yeah, for the most part, just want to come on, cover that weekly candle, maybe look at a few other coins that are making moves during this week. This week has been a pretty good week as far as you know, large gains, or at least, you know, 20-25% gains coming up in the week. Some coins much more than that. So for the most part, we've seen we've seen decent buying rolling in than we've seen you know, in the past couple weeks. So let me get rid of this thing. Of course, the system has completely choked out now. So that's good. So that's good. For the most part, we've seen that's great. But that's okay, because we're gonna, you know, we're gonna battle through that. Let's see. I wanted to look at, yeah, we're gonna zoom in on the weekly in just a minute. Let me pull out another chart here, covering over more of the daily. This is what we were looking at as far as daily. Now this is a Coinbase chart. The other charts are MEX charts, but you know the idea is the same. Pulling the fib from that first drop down to the 65 zone, down to our 31.21 buying, rolling in. All right, we need to not have problems. That's step one. And then we've seen you know, in the past couple weeks. So let me get rid of this thing. The day this starts working system properly, has completely choked out now. I'm gonna be a pretty happy guy. Let's see. Just do that. Okay. Yeah. So we can see with the daily here. So on this pitchfork, this is nice. It's just a visual representation. It's not perfect. It's just for my eyes to get a grip on, you know, potential zones of support and resistance. Just how has the trend reacted, more or less. That's what I'm looking at here. On the 6-hour chart or the 4-hour chart. This is still that bullish Gartley I've been looking at for quite some time. I guess going back to first week in January or so. And you recognize the 618 retracement from X to A, right? So this is what spawns everything. You get that, and then you can start looking at patterns that could come out of that. It's just an advanced ABCD, bullish Gartley pattern. Nothing super high tech or technical, but it's always something to look at. I like it. Hit the first target. First target here would have been the 382. Next one's at the 618, and then the next one is a full retrace to the A. So that's one. That would be a one fully back, and then the 127 is the actual target, right? So 44.81. Now it sounds crazy. And of course, it sounded even crazier when after this big move. But you know what? We'll see. This is the 200 EMA. So this is there's no small potato breaking through that and turning that into support is pretty huge. But we don't want to jump to any conclusions. We don't want to get all crazy or anything like that. This is what we want to look at right now. This is the weekly, right? So let's pull up the weekly. And this is a BAT BTC. So give me 1 second. Yeah, we want to look at the weekly candle. That's what we're closing, although we are obviously closing the daily at the same time. Don't worry about any of that mess right there. That's just a beautiful disaster. Yeah, so don't look at that. I've swapped charts many times. These are actually different candles, but that's fine too. I don't think anyone's going to get too upset about that. And if you do, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Let me get this weekly to load up. That would be starters. I don't know what I got to do over here in these other ones. It's just a lot of problems that like to happen. Likes to completely choke out the system. Come on now, you could do it. I'm gonna have to close this over here. Hopefully this will help spawn some good things, or it'll just die on me. And then I'll find a corner and sulk. Come on. What are you doing? Do something. There you go. Much better. All right. Let's take a look. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Okay. Yes, I know. There's lines everywhere. It's disgusting. Don't worry. We're going to fix all that. Probably just get rid of everything, and that'll just make it a lot better. So, weekly candle. Here's what we're looking at. So far up 6%, $234 for the week. For the candle, we have 1 minute left before we close this thing down, and then we can start taking a look at what we've achieved or what we haven't achieved, and maybe look for possibilities of what may be happening next on the radar. As far as we could see here, from the downtrend, right, from the big drop, we made our low so far, 31.21. Came back up. It was a lower high, so that's not good. And we made another candle move up. We pushed again. Weren't able to get to this mark over here. Leveled out sideways for a little bit. Dropped back down, and then consistently making lower lows in the last 4 weeks. All right, massively sideways, massively sideways. This whole week we moved 0.21%. So just an unbelievable nothing. All right, there we go. Candle has fully been printed, and here are the results. We opened this candle at 34.14. We hit a high of 37.28. Our low was 33.30, and we closed out at 36.48, giving us a $234 candle plus 6.85%. Now, this is the biggest candle we've had bullish since December 17th, actually the 1 year mark from the high. All right, so not that that's anything of significant importance, but it is certainly something to look at as far as interest in buying. Now, what concerns me about that is the volume. Right, volume, far less than average on volume, but on top of that, at least when you had interest here with this big giant candle, this 23% candle move, there was a sense of urgency to recover this, right? This big drop. The sense of urgency came in, the bulls responded, and they pushed it back up so that we weren't hanging down at this bottom point doing nothing for a long time. But everything that we've gained back in this candle, we've started to lose slowly over the course of time. This was a good push back. All right, so we're over, I would imagine, we're over the 50% mark of just this candle. The big thing to notice with this candle, besides volume, right, is that at least it's solid. There was a solid push down, which was recovered, and a solid push up, which was, the bears pushed back. So it was even trading on the extremes, right? But the body itself was good. It's all bullish, right? It's all bullish. Now we're certainly going to have bullish engulfing, right? So for the size of the body over the previous candle, definitely a bullish engulfing, and it actually engulfs the last 3 weeks, well, 4 weeks now of trading, right? So this candle, bullish engulfing over the previous bearish candle and the two spinning top dojis, well, really just a doji, yeah, and that's a doji as well. 0.63% on a weekly, I would call that a doji, yeah. So that's good news. What to come from this? Well, let's scope the daily chart and let's get a better idea of what we're looking at as far as trend is concerned. So considerable downtrend, obviously. We're not even talking about the larger trend from 65, right? That's over here. We're just talking about this move down. So after the down, after the bounce, we bounced back up. We got back into the 43 zone, which has been this has been target area, basically number one, until this low happened here, the 31.21 low. We came back up, but this was a fail, right? So it would have been nice to come up and close up into the 42, 43, 44 range, but that didn't happen. From there, we came back down a little bit of a retrace. This was a 618 retrace from this low, or close enough, right? So we're gonna do this. Oh yeah, that happened. Forgot all about that. Okay, well, my bad. That's just a mess. We can't leave that on screen. All right, so we already have it here on this guy, and we're looking at 618 on the blue line, and just about there, right? So pretty good retracement. 618 actually touched down right in this zone, but this was just barely a hit. And that's what spawned the bullish Gartley that we looked at on the other chart. So there you can see it's a little bit easier to see now. 618 right here. Right, so that was a good retracement, right? For this particular move, that was a good retracement. When we came back up, we weren't able to achieve this high over here, and of course it's all still lower than this down here. So that being said, after we failed there, we were able to draw this trend line using the wicks from the last two previous highs, which ended up working out really well for a third touch on this next move up off that 618 retracement. That was another failed attempt, not only a failure, but a huge down candle. This was just about a 10% move down, $379 at 9.47% down. So that was a big move for a daily move. Pretty big chunk of change right there, all taken out. From that point, we went sideways and down, sideways and down, sideways and now up. So what we're looking at is trying to maintain the momentum, come back up. Breaking this range level was nice. Breaking this range level was nice. Not able to get past this resistance zone that we got drawn over here. Now you can see just on the chart alone, selling is coming in, and it's coming in pretty hard. Right, so we're already down 2%, $69, and we've only had the candle open for 5 minutes. So if we were to open a 5-minute chart, let me see if I have that on here. Of course not. All right, so let me pull that 5-minute chart back up so that we could take a look at what's going on. Just real time, real quick. Where is it here? There you go. All right, so we'll pull this up. We'll take a look. I want to take a look at the 15-minute. I'm going to take a look at the 1 minute and take a look at the 5-minute. And see what kind of volume is coming in for that kind of selling that's that we're seeing on that chart right there. Just give us a better idea on if it looks like it's some type of retracement down from the larger move, or if it's something a little bit more significant. Of course, we gotta let this load, which is just really doing its own thing. So let's get out of there for a minute, and we'll At least look. Come on now. Don't do that. Oh, boy. Ah, jeez. There we go. You got anything over here? Oh, man. It's working on it. I swear. We're getting closer. I see stuff. There it is. All right. So it's still kind of loading. We can't really move it around all that much. Look at that candle. It's pretty ridiculous. All right. So obviously tons of selling just came in. What are we looking at? Total. Yeah. So this is the 15-minute chart. So I know it looks like really intense, but it's okay when I'm gonna make it look a little better so you can sort of get a better idea on what's happening. You can see from the last few hours, good move up, little pullback, good move up, little pullback, and now of course there's the mega dump, which actually touched down. Wow, that wick is like way down there. So that was a very strong move down. It looks like they bought most of it back up. Or we got about half of it. And you can see it's actually the same touchdown zone from this wick down here. So another attempt down, lower than 35.74. The 1 minute chart can't even understand what's going on. So we could see on the 1 minute, you can see the buying that came back after that. So it could be a good stop hunt. Something you see a lot on the MEX chart. You don't always see those on something like Coinbase, Finex, Stamp. Those types of charts may not have that same wick, but it should have something similar. This is the 5 minute chart up here at the top right. This will give us a better indication of how that wick's getting eaten up. And let's see. So we're 8 minutes into the new week, 8 minutes into the new daily, which means we are on our second 5 minute candle. And you can see volume just on 5 minute was very dead since, well, going back, let's see, 10:45 right in the morning over here. So you're talking about 8 hours or so of trading, not much happening until we got to the last hour. Yeah, right about the last hour we started to get buying coming in. Yeah, these two big moves up. And of course this smash down move right here. This is the 15-minute chart just to spread it out a little bit. Just makes it a little bit easier to see what's happening as far as trading is concerned. So yeah, sellers have certainly come in, taken control, smashed it down a little bit. Let me go back to the overall and see what we see as far as the daily is concerned. Now the daily's down here in the bottom left. These are the zones of interest that have been painted there for quite some time. Resistance level in the 36.93 ballpark zone. Support level that turned into resistance over the last few days. Sitting somewhere around the 3,500 zone. The big candle smashed through. That was good. Got us back into this range. And unfortunately, it looks like once you smacked your head on here, you know, we just sort of went sideways, and that's kind of how it's been. On the hourly chart, we were able to paint a nice bull pennant. Unfortunately, it didn't do much. It just sort of leaked out of the sides. It wasn't there wasn't much happening there. What do we got? Yeah, okay. So on the 4-hour chart, of course, this is only representing the last what do we have here, 10 minutes now of trading, but you can see the candle size in relation to the last, you know, whatever, last 10 4-hour periods, and it's a sizable amount down. It is getting eaten back up, so we're gonna watch this right here, and you can see on the 1 minute chart. Let me just zoom in a little bit, so just give you an idea of what's happening minute by minute. So sometimes, like, especially if you're scalping, might throw one of these charts up. Well, this is actually the scalp setup, so this is what I throw. But it's a 1, a 5, and a 15. And I'll swap over to like an hour and a 4-hour to get an idea on overall trend. But this is a good thing to do if you do want to know exactly what's happening candle by candle. if you look at it too long, you run the risk of getting sucked into it. So try to keep that in mind. You lose sight of the larger trend, and what happens then is you get a little bias to what you're seeing. So if you're seeing like a massive, huge bull run over here, and then you zoom out to the 4 hour and you realize you're only just recovering a fraction of the last 4 hour candle, well, it seems a little less impressive. So something to keep in mind. But you can see the big move on the 1 minute, and then 3 big moves up. You got a shooting star up top here, and that dropped it back down a little bit. Now you got a hammer down here that should end up pushing it back up a little bit, but we'll see. It's too early to tell on that. But the 1 minute would tell me that with this hammer, we should be seeing buying come back. Do you have a struggle with the holes? All right, the 40 and the 80 hole. So they're applying pressure down on it, so that's not great. You'd like to see support on these, which you do on the 15. So the 15's got plenty of support, nothing crazy going on here, outside of that big giant candle. And then the 5 minute is the intermediate. So this is telling you right here we're crossing over. So we've lost support on the 5. So it's something to keep an eye out for and see what is happening as far as that is concerned. So we got those to look at. We're back to the larger chart here. I want to point out the February, although we're only, a week and a half into February, but currently it is the first bullish monthly since August of 2018. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive months of bearish monthly candles, and we're currently painting the first bullish candle. This is on the monthly chart, so it's only the 10th. We have plenty more time to go. It's a short month, but still, you're talking about 18 more days of trading, 2 full weeks. So nothing to get overly excited about now. And if you see this trend, it's not a beautiful trend, but if you do see this trend line, we're on it now. We're basically smashing our head on it. You can see when you go down to the daily how far away we are from it, but it is right here. It's coming right up. On the weekly chart as well, it would take a large move, a decent candle, something like we had last week, in order to push up and hit it. Obviously, we would want to push up and hit and get over it. So that would be the ideal. All right, so let's see. We got Coinbase showing the same action. Yeah. So Ron Sickle. So you can see on this is the max chart. This is the Coinbase chart. I had that up. No, that's not it. This is the Coinbase chart. I had this up earlier. So yeah, you can see the same type of action, and as you should, we had a time where there was arbitrage like crazy, where Max and Coinbase and Stamp and Finex and Trex, I mean, they'd be $100, $150 difference, per, but we were also trading in between like 8,500 and 10K. Arbitrage hasn't been that crazy as of late. I don't exactly have a reason why. I would imagine that the Tether exchanges would have something to do with that. But be that as it may, they should be fairly representative. When you're going from exchange to exchange, the big differences will be the wicks, right? So on MEX, you have a lot of stop hunts. Trex, you can have some stop hunts, but Coinbase should be relatively smooth. And of course, you do have buying. This is on the daily chart. So of course, you did have buying all the way up here. And then, the bears came in and pushed down, just like you had the bears pushing all the way down here, and the bulls came in and bought it back up. So you'll see wicks. It just doesn't seem to be as violent, or it seems to get there a little bit slower than everything else. So if we zoom in a little bit on here, I was looking at a few things as far as target areas to come down the road. Now this zone, this green zone here, is still from this bullish Gartley pattern, right? So the bullish Gartley pattern is what we're looking at as far as the 382, 618, a 1, and a 127 target area, which brings us into the 4400 zone, right? So 127 itself is sitting on, let's see here, if we could get that line, that should be right, this one right here, so 4481. I front run everything, so I would certainly let a little ride. If we were to hit 4481 target, I would certainly let a little ride. I'd be out of this trade earlier. But the 382 target was hit, which is nice, but that's one target. Yeah, many more to go. But this was a decent rip down here. Layered orders from 34 down to 33. So we were able to pick up the original 3374, and then we dropped to 3361, and then we were able to pick up all the way down to 3330. So those were all pretty good. But you can see like these areas here, consolidation, they should represent areas of resistance along the way up, and that's only if this pattern does play out the way that, the way I'm hoping for. From there, I would imagine we would go back down, but that's all speculation. So coming in off of the big drop, this is what we were looking at earlier. So the big drop over at 65, this puppy right here, bringing that all the way down is what gave us these fib levels here, just a generalized idea of where we could be headed or what kind of levels we would see on the way up. 236 is this zone, and has been fairly well respected as far as trading is concerned, coming up, right, on the way back up. That being said, there's not a whole lot of information down here from 0 to 236. So that's where we've been a majority of the time, has been trading underneath that. Now, taking the fib from this move, right, so you had the drop, you had a bounce, a little retrace, and then you had another drop. From here, trend reversed, if only temporary. It was still a pivot point that we wanted to mark. We came back down a little, made another new high, and that's why this trend was drawn. Right, so having these marked out gave us a clue as to what we would be looking at on the way, right, as far as coming back down from this high. That's where we hit that 618 level. We found support, which was good. Brought it back to the 236, which was nice. Came back down, support on the 618. Lost it, support on the 786. Gained it back, and now we're back on the 618. So if you look at just this section as far as fib is concerned, trading on the 618 is not that bad, but you do need to flip it to support, push for the 5. So close range targets for bulls, they're looking at 37.72 ballpark area. Bears are looking to get back down to 34.04, and of course at 34.04, they're not going to be afraid to retest 33.33, 33.31 area, and at which point if they succeed, their next target is 31.21. Now on here it says 31.28, but the MEX chart is 31.21. This is still the Coinbase chart. Let's see. Ricky Thompson, what's happening, man? How real is the percent gain as the volume in the 240 BTC seems about the same except for the bounce, like no new money? All right, so I got to break your question down for a second. How real is the percent gain as the volume in the 240? What do you mean the 240 BTC? 240 BTC seems about the same, except for the bounce, like no new money. So, I mean, if we're just talking about no new money, yeah, I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people that are saying, you know, we can't get back up, with no new money. I don't believe that that's true. That's just me. The thing about having no new money in the market doesn't change what money is not in BTC but is in the market under Tether. So there's a lot of traders that are on the sidelines, and they could be looking for a few things. first you need another high, right? So if you're a very conservative player, right, you might have been out at 8,500, but let's say you rode down 65, and you had the big drop, and you came down to 55, and you're like, you know what, that's it. I'm going on the sideline. I don't know what's going to happen. So they move it to tether, move it to tether, move it to tether. Now you got a BTC. You're still in the market. Right? It doesn't look like you're in the market, but you're in the market. You're in the market under tether. This drops down, 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 down. And they're saying, well, I want to buy it back in, but I don't know. This is a big low. This was a good balance, but since then, it's a slow bleed. It's a slow bleed back to 31.21, which means we could be going lower and lower. So if we put up the weekly chart, this is where we get a lot of our older levels from, historical data. And there's a lot of people talking about these particular levels that are already mapped out. So 23, 25, 27, 29, and 31 because of this. That wasn't a historical number. But this is what people over here, I believe, are worried about. So they got out after that first drop off of 65, right? So we squeezed, and we didn't go up, we went down. At that point, they said, forget it, I'm out. And they ripped their money out of the market. Now you have this big drop down. And now from the distance, it looks like, a dead cat, right? So big drop down, a little move up, and then whew, you come right back down, you make another lower low. So if that's what they're worried about, why would they put their money back in until either one, a reversal, or two, the price is so low they can't help themselves. And they need to buy back in, such as like this candle right here. Price went down so low from where it was, sitting at 31.28 and reaching a bottom somewhere around 17.59. This buying came right back in, smashed back in. Then you get it all the way back up here, but you did end up making breaking market structure, made another new high, and then cruised up. Now I'm not saying we're repeating this. I'm just saying psychology behind it would tell you there's no reason for them to get back in. There's nothing bullish about this. There's nothing that says this is coming back up. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but if you just look at just this, what would be indicative of a bullish move? Come down December 17th. You kind of slow ride it down, level off, and then dump. And from the dump, you haven't really had much bullish, right? You paint yourself a big old triangle, which is good for the bears because it would look like a big bull pennant. But outside of that, I wouldn't see any reason for them to jump out, especially if they feel that it's going lower. And if it's going lower, then you have a couple target areas where it could be headed. This area here, this particular candle, this was a nice large test after a big impulse move up. Big test coming down, tons of support, and on top of that, massive buying. So you had tons of interest right here. The buyers were very happy to buy at this price. So if we look at this candle and say, all right, well, they were really happy at 3,000 or 2,900. They were really happy. On top of that, it was a previous high. So you had a previous swing high, dropped down for a big test, came back up for a huge push, ended up snapping out right here. You broke the previous high. This was at the time an all-time high. Smashed through it and then pulled back. You had a nice healthy pullback. Well, this pullback with all of this buying interest is market structure, right? So you broke that market structure. So at here was resistance, here was support. So it's an important level, and I believe a lot of people are looking at it, especially since we hit 31.21 and we were so close. So that's why it's on my chart right here. It's the red one, and the red one is 29.75. So let's say if I was in Tether and I was on the sidelines, I'm not really touching this until I feel like we have some type of bullish behavior where I could feel like I could get back in and make some percentage. I could make some gains. That being said, there's nothing on here that is really talking about that. Not so much. Now we cross over this level right here, right? 44.17, right? The high of this candle on the weekly. Let's see, the high was 44.14. So you cross over here and close. This will at least give people a thought that we might be swinging back up, and we'll start the low, the journey back, right? And they would be looking for something like push this back up, retest it down here, and then come back up again, where you're gonna have back to the 65 zone, right? And then you're gonna have to swing back down again, and then come back up to get out of 65. Sorry for the computer. It's terrible, by the way. So I hope that helps. I didn't really understand your question. Sorry about that. But if that's not what you were talking about, then please let me know. But just rewrite it, I suppose, if that's cool. All right. Now, personally, I don't want to play devil's advocate here, but personally, I would think if this is a psychological, not a psychological level, it's an actual level, but if this is a level that people are very interested in, and that's a level that people will say, okay, if we get here, then we finally have a high based off our low, so we have a low, and then we have a higher high. If that happens, you built this trend, right? So this trend died. You reverse with a high, you made a higher low, and if you're able to push this up past here, you make another higher high. And if they start getting into it and people are catching it or chasing it and run a little late, then that would be the ultimate in bull traps, right? So it'd be the ultimate, stop. Where if the idea was to just get people in just to do this, well, that's upsetting, but it's possible. No matter what you are, bullish or bearish, you should be open to what the market is telling you and, play off of that accordingly. So I try to have no bias at all. This way I'm open. I just let the candles tell me what's going on. Price action will give me the indication of what's happening. And from there, other indicators such as like a momentum indicator, some type of oscillator, will give you that reassurance that, the way you're trading looks to be the correct way. But you got to put yourself into the shoes of the market makers. Imagine the level that would need to be attained, right? So they're saying to themselves, look, whatever they're saying, 1,800, right? 1,800 is a great price, or 2,000 is a great price, 2,500 is a great price. Whatever it is, let's just say they want to accumulate more at that price. But on the way down, they want to be able to get more people in the market, right? You want more people so that you can have liquidation, so that you're pushing that price down and down and down and down and down. You got people to sell it to. So if that were the case, I mean, for me, it's not very nice, but for me, I would like to get people interested. Right here, they start buying. They say, okay, we came over here, and on the daily chart, we've retested that level, so we've regained 4,400, and that's awesome. And now I could take a look at these, the 618, the 786. I get back into this zone, and I think people are going to be very comfortable. They're going to say to themselves, well, all right, we're back in the sixes. We've breached 6K. And then I would pull the rug out of them. and I would just rip it down just in a very terrible way. So, this is a possibility. What I do think You know, that would be the ultimate bull trap. What I do think is this: I do think we can hit 44. I'm not, you know, people might think I'm crazy, but and look, I don't know where this is going to go, but we should at least have a retest of, let's say, the 236. Okay, I would imagine that this is an area that can be hit. Now, we haven't even gotten to that level yet. We've gotten close, but we weren't able to capitalize on anything in that zone. All right, so basically anything above 4,200 was a no go. Since we were coming down, right? This is all coming down. This little sideways action here doesn't mean anything except for, you know, levels coming back to it. But this is the move down, right? So anything that's happening here, you're looking for a retrace. You're looking for, you know, a push up past a certain level that gets people interested again. Otherwise, they'll be on the sidelines just waiting for it to drop down further and further and further and further and further so that they can get themselves a better price. All right. So that's probably it for you know, for Bitcoin. At least I want to see what's happening on the shorter time frames here. So the 4-hour chart, yeah, you still got a lot of selling going on. So push it not as far as it was. There was some buying coming back, but yeah, for the most part, that's it's a bearish day for sure. Okay, so on the daily chart, this is what we're looking represented to, you know, so far, which has been the first 33 minutes of trading. We are down 1.23%, so minus $45, and that's all right on this resistance zone. So this is something to keep an eye on. I have it 36.50, 36.84, give or take. Again, we were able to pierce through it, but not close above it. So that's an issue. Just like over here, pierce through it. We're able to close into it, right, but not above it. So that's an issue. Getting out of that zone would be fine. Getting out of this range would be great, because this range is boring. So let me get that back just under that last candle there, something like that. This is marking ourselves out, just a zone to be aware of. So finding resistance here is not great, but what we can do is just for this move, we can get an idea on what kind of retracement we've had. And 382. So that's great. You know, this move right here is fine. Now, we already hit the 382, so I was sort of hoping hit the 382 and then go up further. They have different ideas, so maybe we'll ride the 382 and then push up, or lose the 382 and then we're back to the 5. So something to consider there, and that's kind of the level we're looking at. Those would be the levels that we'd be playing right now. Now, this larger move, of course, is still in effect, so we can't forget about this actual move here, because this is sort of calculating the downward move. So we are capped right here at the 5 of that larger move. So this 5, hopefully you can see that. So that 5 is what developed this zone, and it's been very well respected as far as resistance is concerned. I haven't been able to flip that 5 over to support since well over here, and that's back in December 27th. Okay, so that's a target area for the bulls. You want to flip that 5, make that support again, and just as if you're on the other side and you're bearish, so you've captured the 5 so far. The next level for them to destroy would be the 618, 35.48. They haven't pushed down there just yet. Not since, you know, this big massive candle. That's been a zone that's been pretty much avoided since they won on January 28th, and they were able to keep it down from there, keep that downward pressure on it until we got pretty low down here into this ballpark, this ranged area, which we could probably draw that a little further and maybe make something a little bit better out of that. Now, I do want to pull up, let's see, I do want to pull up a couple other charts, so let me get Let me get out of this one. Where's my other chart here? No, that's not it. There we go. All right, so I want to pull up the price action scanner. I want to see what was moving because we had a couple good moves, right? Ethereum was moving, Litecoin was moving, ARK was moving. A lot of things were actually moving. So I just want to scope a few things out real quick and get an idea. Now that we've closed a weekly, I'm going to pull up the 7-day so I can go back and see what the moves were for the last week. This will just give me an idea of what kind of peak gains we were getting inside of that 7-day period and what kind of retracements have we've seen so far from there. I just got to wait for things to load over here. So like everything else, just give it a little time. It'll do its thing. I do have the chat open for YouTube Live. Although I don't even know if this is, I don't know. Everything's so laggy. I'm not sure what's happening. So don't worry about it. This did get updated today though. So I'll talk about that for a second. The addition of the RSI scanner has been added and also the watch list. So pretty cool. So now you could find, let's say you wanted to mark it only down into high cap coins. You could do that, add those to your watch list, and then only deal with those on the watch list and not have to worry about something like key or something like data or, well, you know, like POA, but QLC, right, that type of thing. So real quick, the way this thing works is it'll show, now this is based off of 14-day period, 70-30, so 70 on your high marker, 30 on your lower marker. So red will indicate that it's below 30, where blue will indicate that it's above 70. So you could see in all these time frames on the daily chart, on the 12-hour chart, on the 5-minute chart, and on the 15-minute chart. So this will give you an idea of what's happening. So the lower time frames are telling you people are probably going to start buying on the lower time frames, where on the daily, people are looking to either start getting out or start working their way out of that trade. This would give you an idea of when you're back on the chart to throw the RSI on and see what's happening. Are you have any divergence in there? Do you have any hidden divergence? Do you have enough momentum to continue the trend? That type of thing. Or is it looking like a pullback? You might be able to get in, either a quick scalp or get in on a re-entry, that type of deal. So cool stuff. I'm sure we'll cover that in more detail at some point in the next week or so. But for now, let's head back because I want to take a look at the peak gains in the last 7 days and see what kind of movers we've had. Like I said, definitely for sure, ARK was moving, Litecoin was moving, Ethereum was moving. I mean, Bitcoin was moving in the last 3 or 4 days. So, I mean, obviously, so we know that. Let's go back to peak gains here. 7-day. I'm going to keep it in the up move. This also changed as well. This used to say buy Fibbo, sell Fibbo. Now it says up move, down move. You can see right here. All right, so peak gains, 7 days. GRS daily has turned bearish. 30s bearish. 12, 1, and 15 are sideways with a bearish tone. 15 million cap. I don't understand why there's 3,600 Bitcoins being traded, but there are. So tons of volume in here. 86 peak move up in the last 7 days with an 86% retracement of that peak gain. So we're just about to hit the 886. 786 is already a really deep retracement. 886, we have seen it in the past, but for me, I'm going to pass on looking at this for a pullback because the daily is already tanking, right? So I'm not really concerned about this. Super low cap at 9, super low at 9. 56 is something to look at. Now that was ARK. We actually looked at this last night. So not a bad setup on ARK. You can see the trend is good on the from the hour to the 12-hour. Trend is good, but the daily is sideways, right, with a bullish tone. So room to go up from here, but you also have the 5 to the 30 are sideways with the bullish tone, but still nonetheless not a bad deal. Let's see, Theta, they had a really good week, 55% up. LTC up, so Litecoin's up 47% with so far an 18% retracement on the week. Now just turned the daily right, sideways with a bearish tone, while you got a strong trend on the 4 and the 6. So I would imagine that they'd be trying to push this, convert that pink to a green. Let's take a look at this. Litecoin USDT. Let me get that other chart back up here. First off, let's get rid of this. Let's do that. Maybe that'll help save some resources here. Let's get rid of the scalp one. And we should be able to open this, right? So, Litecoin. And let's put that over on Binance. Let's take a better look. Weekly. So the weekly candle was a very good one. Coming in still off this uptrend, local uptrend. Solid weekly candle. Able to push past this resistance zone over here, over in the 38.40 zone. Ended up with a 39% gain, which is very nice. Up $13. So that's a really good candle, right? Really good candle. Able to get past this weekly resistance zone as well. So now obviously you're looking at this target area, which I believe, let's see what the dates are here. October, November. Okay, so overall pretty good, right? This is now your, well, has always been, you know, quite the resistance zone. So this is what you're looking at there as far as that's concerned. Now, if we pull out our fibs, take a look at from the bottom of this trend to the current local top. Let me pull this over to get a better idea on what we have here. What are we looking at? So as far as retracement, just from this one candle so far, just on the weekly, we've been looking at this move up and then, you know, retrace 236. Sure, it's possible. We need to get in on the daily to get a better idea on what may be happening here. All right, so daily moves, we could see our low. All right, we swung up, so this was already the first retracement. So this is what I want to look at. And I'm going to come over here. Let's say we had this high. All right, so we pushed up. Now we do have, let's see, we're going to use this guy here. Okay, so we pushed up. And we came down. All right, so let me take a look at this retracement down to the 618. 618, we pushed up again. Let's take a look at this. Let's see what we had going on over here. So again, from that retracement, we made another higher high as far as that trend was concerned. Now this was a deep retrace all the way down to the 786, which is a very sloppy retrace. These two candles here, and then slightly respected, pushed up to the 618, pushed to the 5, lost it, back to the 618, then down to the 786. So again, not super good. This is all a little sideways garbage over here, but still not a bad move nonetheless. And now our current move, so this push over here from this down here. So if we were looking at just this move, and what we had a 618 here and a 786 here. So let's just say history repeated itself with a 618. I mean, you're back to 36.68, possibly before another higher move. We got 1, 2. This is the third move. We can get, you know, it could go on forever, but we've noticed 4 moves. Seems to be pretty good. But you do have to, you know, you got to look at some other things. You have to look at your momentum. You got to look at your volume, which is off. Okay, so let's do that. Right. So, yeah. Look at some other things, and then you want to look at market structure, right? Price action. You want to see what was shaking over here. You know, what kind of levels can we look at as far as possible support levels? So I might not go all the way down to 618 on something like this. I might be hanging out right here and saying this to me is a fair zone, right? So if we were to come up, this would be market structure, right? So here's your new high. You come down, you make another new high, you come back and you retest your previous high. Okay, just like this. You came up, you made a high, what'd you do? You retested your previous high. Okay, right here. All right, so coming back down here to that zone is perfectly acceptable. And that ends up being exactly on the 5, which now makes a lot more sense, would be 38.77 before making another push up. And your next level of resistance, at least for me, is right here in this ballpark, at least in that zone, and that's going to be 51.70. So I'm cool with all of this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fib back, I'm going to steal it, I'm going to get some targets based off of that first move. I'm going to say, all right, you know, what are we looking at? This was that first big move that we calculated. So we're 27 something over here. All right, so 27.12 was the bottom. That's that 618 retracement. And now we at least have an idea of where we might be shaking. So according to this, right, our target is very close to what would have been our target had we taken this trade down here over at the 2618. All right. So if I was a betting man, I would just bring that down a little. And I would say, you know what? Let me front run that 2618. That would be my next move. For now, depending on some other indicators, I may be looking to bring this down. Maybe looking to come down. Set targets around this was the 50 line, right? So set targets around the 50 line, which is also, you know, market structure, right? So it's also your previous swing high, which is, again, a healthy retracement. It's perfectly fine retracement. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you come down, retest previous high to make another new high. Target area here would be the 2618 before you had another pushback. Now, this was a fairly good move. If we were to measure these moves, we might be able to blast through 618 and end up making a 3618 style move. If that's the case, expect something. I expect a reaction not only at the 2618, but I just expect a reaction from here. You know, you got to remember this, right? This is the drop. So I understand we're on Litecoin and we're not on Bitcoin, but, you know, this was the drop. That's the big drop. All right, so on the daily chart, Litecoin has done much better than Bitcoin, right? Or even, I would imagine, Ethereum. Let's take a look at Ethereum real quick. I'm just going to throw the Finex chart on just to get an idea. I just want to see something real quick. As far as the big drop is concerned, which is right here. So this is much more consistent with Bitcoin. All right. So you had the big drop, and then you had the bounce. Now Bitcoin had a much smaller. You had this, and then down with a nice big move up. But they made a higher high, right, where Bitcoin didn't, and the big slow bleed down, retracement back. And then this big move here. So Litecoin's doing some very different things. So if Litecoin is leading the way, I mean that's something to look at. But as far as this is concerned, yeah. Why does this look not right here? What happened here? Let's see something real quick. Yes, that's why. Okay, much better. Things were different. That was Litecoin paired to Bitcoin. This is Litecoin paired to Tether USDT. So that's what I want to look at as far as that's concerned. So this is cool. I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this. So if you're already in the trade, I mean, if you got in the trade down here on the pullback, so if you saw the big move up, got in the trade on the pullback, you would have already had a target area of either the 1, 127, 1414, 1618. All right, which you didn't hit the 1618, you did hit the 14. You got the 14, another pullback. Now this was a scary pullback because you pushed back down, you lost this zone, which would have been nice to have support here, but you didn't. You lost all of that. Ended up becoming resistance again. You can see that right here. Sideways, big push down, and ended up pushing back up. All right. So once you got that, you blasted through, and look what happened here. Now you stopped what seems like in the middle of nowhere for this high. You came right back down to where? The 1618. So it's like you almost overshot the 1618, trying to get to the 2618. You failed, but you found support on the 1618. Now again, if this were to come back down, this would be the 5. So if you were to come back down to this level here, which is not only the 5, it's also the 1272, then I'm perfectly happy with that, and I would be looking for higher highs. So I would be looking for target area. Of course, this was down here. Be looking for target area, the 2618 zone. This I do believe is going to be fairly significant level to get over, and if we were to get over that, then I feel pretty good about getting to the 3618, and then we're just simply too far away for me to even think about. But I would like to throw something on here just to get a better idea on overall type of action. Trend is pretty good. Let's see here. I'm not sure I want to use that, but I kind of do. I kind of want it to also visually represent the actual trend here. I would probably push this down. If that is going to end up being the top and not just a little sideways before we go up again, then I may adjust this. But this would be a channel I would be looking at to trade. But this channel wouldn't make much sense if we stopped right here and we didn't end up making our way up to the higher part of that channel. All right. So that is, yeah, so it's been just about an hour. That's going to wrap it for me for now. I will more than likely be back on at some point tonight, but I did want to hop on, do the weekly candle close, get an idea of where things are looking at or shaking out as far as the week is concerned, and that's it. So I will see you on the exchanges. Until then, happy trading.